Hi, hello, once again, very good evening. Welcome back to the session, everyone. I hope my audio, video, everything is fine. Elame correct irukka. Kindly give me a thumbs up in the live chat so that I can able to acknowledge you people. Okay, welcome back to the session, everyone. I hope my audio, video, everything is fine. Elame correct irukka. Kindly give me a thumbs up in the live chat. Yeah. So we're starting a bit early. As I told you, we'll be starting by 5:30. I thought this to be a marathon because a lot of students have been asking for a long time to conduct a session for business analysis. Okay, so I thought, why not let's take 3 hours of marathon completely for business analysis. Okay, this is worth watching. Why? Because definitely you know the fact that it is for 20 questions. You'll be getting absolute 20 marks in business analysis alone. So soulfully dedicating 3 hours is is nowhere doubt for you. So definitely with that positive note, we'll try to see a lot more interesting questions from business analysis. எப்படி the breakdown பண்ணலாம், what are all the various possibilities, what are all the nuances that we can able to follow while addressing questions from business analysis. Okay, so we'll try to do that one by one. We'll try to break down each and every part of the passage, the questions which is being asked and relevant to that. Everything we'll try to break that out. So before getting into that, let me quickly introduce about myself. So my name is Kabilan. I'm a mechanical engineer with 3 years of teaching experience in the field of management exams. I've also converted various Indian Institute of Management. So mukyamana vishayam, I've made nearly more than 50 to 60 videos exclusively for TANCET alone. So if you're a beginner and if this is your first class watching me taking the session, I've made a lot of previous videos as well. So I've made videos on verbal, I've made videos on comprehension, I've made videos on all parts of all topics related with quant. So definitely go and watch it. It will be very helpful for your preparation as well. Okay, and most importantly, if you haven't joined my Telegram channel, kindly type TANCET MBA in a Telegram. You'll be displayed in the Telegram channel. Do join that, where you'll be getting all the lively updates and materials. And also you can follow me on Unacademy Learning App. This is my ID, where you'll be getting exclusively all the special classes that I've made. Okay, so do check it out, guys. And also don't forget to share, like, share and subscribe our YouTube channel Unacademy CAT for MBA, and also our Telegram channel. So talking about the Unacademy Plus subscription, you can literally use my discount code KABI10, where you'll be getting an absolute 10% off, so that your final tariff for your CAT subscription, if you're willing to take for 1 year, it's going to be 15,750 alone, where you'll be getting all the online classes, materials, and even the mock test as well, absolutely in the package. Okay, and for 2 years, it's going to be 18,900. So definitely worth spending money if you're in a long time process of cracking CAT. So CAT 2021, you're really willing to join, take up any of the subscription, better use my discount code and get absolute 10% off. Okay, guys, and you have only last few days left to enjoy the 10% discount only on CAT Plus subscription. So if you have any idea of join today. And here we have the weekly scholarship test, which is happening every week by the name Unacademy Combat Challenge. And you can start registering now for free by using my unlock code KABI10. Registration is absolutely free, and you can take the test live on 21st of Feb, time exactly at 12 p.m. And also you can compete with the best actually. Okay, so you'll be put up with all India leaderboard, and you can literally see where you exactly stand out of the India's leaderboard. Okay, and most importantly, the questions will be curated by the India top experts from Unacademy. And also you can able to identify and improve your weak areas to the detailed and absolute solutions that we make, okay, so that you can able to get over of the hardships that you face from the weak areas through the process of preparation. Okay, so here it is, the Unacademy Combat Challenge, everybody. And here we have the testimonials for CAT 2020 who have cracked CAT with absolute 99 percentile flying colors. Definitely, if you want to be one for the next year, you can start enrolling in our batches, which are kick-starting from 19th of Feb. That's going to be the final revision batch for Maharashtra Common Entrance Test 2021. And it's going to be 22nd of February, Striker batch for CAT 2021. 23rd of Feb, it's going to be the Quantitative Genius batch for CAT 2021. Okay, so these are the batches which are kick-starting. If you have any plans, you can start enrolling in our batches, any of these, by getting the subscription. And with that positive note, we'll straightly get into the business analysis part for today. So talking about the business situation analysis, நிறைய பேருக்கு இது ஆக்சுவலா என்ன டாபிக், இதுல நம்ம என்ன பண்ணணும், whether we want to solve the question, or we want to spot any of the errors, or we want to simply summarize the passage அப்படின்ற ஒரு காமன் ஐடியாவும் நிறைய பேர் இல்ல சில பேர் இருப்பீங்க. For those people, I just want to make you clear with some of the important things. Okay, so definitely what you need to understand is, when it comes to business analysis, first of all, we need to know what is this section business analysis, right? So if that is the case, we call it actually the business situation analysis. In the section la pathina, this is nothing but is an analysis, which is a collection of methods to analyze the given passage by the internal and external factors in the business. Okay, so what they simply do now, they'll give you a passage, absolutely business oriented passage, and the passage we should read it very, very concentratedly. That's really important. We need to take a lot more interpretations from the passage. That is also really important. Summa, we should not read like just sitting in a exam hall, kada bookla or kadai padikira madri appdi padichingana. If you try to do something like that, definitely that will not help you to analyze what are all the questions that is being asked following. Okay, so make sure you put your 100% focus while reading the passage. You need to get all the tidbits and all the important points that has been pitched in the passage. And most importantly, slow padikka kudadu. You need to read it a little bit faster. Why? Because you have only 2 hours of time span for the complete exam. So 2 மணி நேரத்துல 5 you need to complete 5 sections. So think of that. That's really crucial. And most importantly, while trying to read the passage, you need to keep all the things in mind. That is, so we'll be discussing here. Idhula pathina the conceptually straight to the examination point of view. What I conceptualized here, pathina, the section, it has 2 passages, which means if you blindly go for the exam, you'll be given 2 passages for that, right? 2 passage irukum. Each passage will be having 10 questions based on the passage. Okay, so totally 10 plus 10, you'll be put up with 20 questions. A total of 20 questions will be provided for you. So based on 2 passages that you need to completely analyze, you'll be given 20 questions. 20 questions you correct attend panningana 20 marks will be awarded for you. Okay, no doubt in that. And you know the fact that, see, after each passage, the questions containing items relating to the preceding passages are given. So உங்களுக்கு 10 questions கொடுத்துருவாங்க, and evaluate each item separately in terms of the respective passage and choose your answer as per the following guidelines. So here, if you see, you have 5 guidelines, and most importantly, I just want to pitch up something here. இங்க உங்களுக்கு 4 guideline provide பண்ணிருக்காங்க. For the past 4 or 5 years, if you see, you have been given only 4 guidelines only. The first one is major objective, second one is major factor, third one minor factor, fourth one major assumption. Right? So either third, fifth also there is one more object or guideline given for you. Before 4 or 5 years, if you see, that is being given wrong decision. So அஞ்சாவதா இன்னொரு பாயிண்ட் இருக்கு, பட் இப்போ as per the recent trend for the past 4 years they have been removed. It's been removed actually out of the guidelines. So we've been provided with only 4. So what we can simply do now, first we need to know what is major objective, what is major factor, minor factor and major assumption. உங்களுக்கு இந்த major objective கான description explanation they have given you. So that is nothing but, if the item, that is nothing but, these are the 4 options you need to choose for the given question. உங்களுக்கு கொடுக்கப்பட்ட 10 questionக்கும் இந்த 4 ஆப்ஷன்ல இருந்து எதனா ஒரு ஆப்ஷன் தான் நீங்க சூஸ் பண்ணணும். And most importantly, that is the outcome or result sought by the decision maker. So based on the passage, the given question, for that, if that question happens to be the major objective of the given passage, then you need to go for option 1. That is nothing but major objective. கொடுத்திருக்க question and the question உங்களுக்கு, if you try to figure out that's the exact outcome or the result that's been sought out by the decision maker out of the given passage, then it is undoubtedly option 1. Major factor அப்படினா என்ன பாத்தீங்கன்னா, if the item is a major factor, that is consideration explicitly mentioned in the passage, that is basic in determining the decision. அப்போ முக்கியமான விஷயம் நீங்க என்ன புரிஞ்சுக்கணும்னா, first you need to know the difference between the major objective and major factor. Major factor னா என்னன்னா, it is explicitly mentioned in the passage. So உங்களுக்கு பட்டவர்த்தனமா அந்த பேசேஜ்ல மென்ஷன் பண்ணியிருப்பாங்க கொடுக்கப்பட்ட அந்த ஸ்டேட்மெண்ட். and also that is basic in determining the decision. இப்போ ஒரு மேஜர் ஆப்ஜெக்டிவ், the major objective is what we call the major decision. Okay, in the major objective, the basic tool which determines the major objective or the major decision is actually called as major factor. Okay, ஒரு major objective determine பண்ற basic tool is called as major factor. And உங்களுக்கு confuse ஆகுற ஒரு point which will really confuse you here is the difference between the major factor and the minor factor. So try to understand the difference very carefully. If if it is for the minor factor, means a less important element. Major factor na will be explicitly mentioned, which means the importance, the factor influencing the decision will be very significant when it comes to major factor. But when it comes to minor factor, this is actually a less important element bearing on or affecting the major. And இன்னொன்னு நீங்க easier ஞாபகம் வச்சுக்கலாம், the factor rather than a major objective directly. என்னென்ன ஃபேக்டர்லாம் மேஜர் ஃபேக்டர் இல்லையோ, those factors are called as minor factors. In this way also you can able to remember. See, I'm trying to decode what major objective stands for, what major factor, what minor factor and what major assumption here in this very first slide. கண்டிப்பா பார்க்குறவங்களுக்கு புரியுற மாதிரியும் இருக்கும், புரியாத மாதிரியும் இருக்கும். So make sure நம்ம straight up question போனதுக்கு அப்புறம் you will be getting it very practically. Okay, அப்போ உங்களுக்கு தெளிவா புரியுற மாதிரி we'll try to fix it. Okay, definitely you'll be in a half minded whether you understood or not. I really agree with the fact, but முக்கியமான விஷயம் என்னன்னா, we need to know what is the real explanation or what is the real meaning of these 4 guidelines actually. Okay, so fourth one பாத்தீங்கன்னா, if the item is a major assumption, உங்களுக்கு பார்த்தாலே தெரியுது. Assumption means what? Assumption is something which is not completely based on the facts. ஒரு facts சார்ந்து இல்லாத சில விஷயங்கள் பேசேஜ்லயோ கொடுத்திருக்க கொஸ்டின்ல டிஸ்கஸ் பண்ணியிருந்தால், then you should take that statement or that say as major assumption. That is made deliberately. Deliberately means what? வேண்டுமென்றே, just to boost up the situation or just to level up the present level. So in the மாதிரி situation based statements which are not absolutely depend on the factual data will be put under major assumptions. Okay, very important. That is a supposition or suppose, maybe, or you can find lot of assumption words. என்னென்ன வேர்ட்ஸ்லாம் நீங்க கண்டுபிடிக்கலாம்னா பார்த்த உடனே you can find maybe, you can find probably, likely. இந்த மாதிரி you could see lot of terms where a probable assumption is being made, not based on the actual facts, but based on a deliberate situations. Okay, so ஒரு projection, ஒரு supposition, suppose என்ற வார்த்தையும் இருக்கும், suppose, that is being made by the decision maker before considering the factors. Okay, so for example, let me put some examples for you. If you listen carefully, இப்போ let's say if I'm owning a if I really want to start up a airline company. Okay, சூரரை போற்று படம் கூட நீங்க you can take it as an example. If you take that movie, there the Deccan Airlines, the person who aspires to start up the company, Deccan Airline company, நீங்க சூர்யா எடுத்துக்கிட்டீங்கன்னா, he had lot of objectives in mind. For example, what are all the absolute objectives, the major objectives he had? He needs to put a brand new airline into the market. That's his major objective. And most importantly, he needs to reduce the expense. Right? What he did, he made lot of village, rural people travel in the airline. Just to create a publicity, just to create, just to bring down the tariff for the, air travel. So, just to put up a new airline company in the market is one major objective. Just to bring down the tariff, the fee, the airfare is another major objective. So, in the Madri, you have major objectives there. Adala major factor, what actually is the major factor? The major factor will directly determine the major objective. For example, I can give you the major factor for this Deccan Airlines, the movie, if you try to see. The major factor will be if a person wants to bring down the tariff of any airfare. For example, I'll give you an example. See, let's say comparatively, Deccan Airline Kumunadi, if the airfare was, let's say, 10,000 rupees, and if he wants to break this 10,000 rupees and bring it to 5,000 rupees, how is that practically possible? Here, the major objective is to bring down the fare. But how it will be practically possible? That will be determined by the major factor. If at all, if a person wants to bring down this 10,000 to 5,000, what will be the major factor that will decide here? Fuel expense. So, another factors are definitely the fuel consumption. See, these are all the examples I'm talking about here. Okay, I'll just try to give you a bird's eye view. After doing it, so we'll straightly go for the questions and try to sort out that. Okay, so first one, the fuel consumption. I'm talking about the major factors. Second one, fuel consumption, and most importantly, the weight of the aircraft. So definitely, when it comes to airline industry, weight is directly proportional to fuel consumption. Correct? எவ்வளவு weight இருக்கோ அவ்வளவுக்கு எவ்வளவு fuel எடுத்துரும். Right? So if that is the case, aerosol, no? So aerosol is what the fuel that we use for airlines. So எவ்வளவு weight நீங்க வந்து dump பண்றீங்களோ aeroplane-ல அவ்வளவுக்கு எவ்வளவு fuel will be, aerosol will be consumed. So lesser weight in the aircraft, that will directly influence the lesser fuel consumption. So இது எல்லாமே வந்து அந்த படத்துல டிஸ்கஸ் பண்ணிருப்பாங்க. So which means these things will be directly determining the major objective. So I would say the fuel consumption, weight, and most importantly, not putting up a lot of fancy stuffs in the aircraft. So the more and more fancy stuffs you put, the more and more charges you apply, right? So sada or welcome drink, if it happens to be a cup of coffee or juice, that is okay. If at all to provide a lot of costly bakery stuffs and all, that will charge you much. Okay, so cafeterias is also directly influencing. So it will come under major factors. And if at all, if you want to go for minor factors, as I told you already, so another minor factors will be that will directly determine. See, most importantly, what you need to remember is major factor will directly determine the major objective. Okay, but minor factor, this will not directly determine, this will indirectly determine the major objective. Okay, so possibly you can tell the minor factors. For example, if you take that movie Surya Potri, minor factor which will indirectly determine the major objective. Definitely to make people reach out the news. What he did, he kept lot of ticket fare centers in the railway stations, and then he reduced he took lot of second-hand aircrafts. So these are all the minor factors which will indirectly influence the cost of the airfare, that will directly influence the major objective. So you have minor factors, major factors, and major objective, and most importantly you have major assumptions. Or assumption no irukkum. So na or business start up pandrena, I'll keep something in head. That is actually called an assumption, and I'm not very damn sure that whether my assumption will possibly have a positive approach or a negative approach. I'll be always having that question in head. If the aircraft, if it runs, and there is one more fine scene in that movie where that movie will be carrying one minister there, and all of a sudden the flight got collapsed and it got an immediate landing. So idella pathina assumption. What he would have thought, apdi edhu nadakadu apindra madiri he would have thought, but negative things would also happen. So assumptions are not actually based on the real facts, but possibly that will also influence the major objective. So in the madri, just to give you an idea about what is a major objective, what is a major factor, what is a minor factor, and what is the major assumption. So this will influence the business situation. So based on these things, we need to completely analyze the given passage and get any one of the 4 options out of which we have discussed here, right? So definitely I hope this would have given you some of the ideas, Kandipa, to start up. So better not waste too much of time. Let's quickly get into the session. So definitely you would have got some idea how to tackle this. With that, let me quickly take you to the very first passage for the today's session. So hi Venkat Sharma, welcome to the live chat. And யாரெல்லாம் கொஞ்சம் லைவ் chatல இருக்கீங்களோ just put up a hi so that I can able to acknowledge. So முக்கியமான விஷயம் என்னன்னா, I think this has been repeated here. நீங்க என்ன ரொம்ப புரிஞ்சுக்கணும்னா, passage கதை புக் படிக்கிற மாதிரி படிக்க கூடாது. You need to have a proper interpretation while reading the passage. That's really, really important. Okay. So, you need to be very conscious while reading it. Right? Definitely, I can able to, if you can able to follow these things in head. The question, the 10 question ரொம்ப easier ஆச்சுலாம். Later, the other 10 questions will be sort of little bit challenging, but if you're very confident in that, go for it. And most importantly, நம்மளுக்கு அங்க questions attend பண்ணும்போது we'll be completely uncertain whether for the given question it will be a major objective or a minor factor or a major factor or major assumption. இந்த மாதிரி you'll be clueless for any of the questions. அந்த மாதிரி இருக்கிற பட்சத்துல I would suggest better don't attend it. Okay. If at all, if I want to say something, 20 questions left. If you give a fair enough attempt of 10 questions, that itself is more than enough. 10 question with 100% accuracy, if you can able to crack, that is more than enough. 20 question में 100% accuracy அடிக்கிறீங்கன்னா, then you are alien level, super good. But I'm talking about the mediocre group. Okay, there is always a say that the mediocre group dominates in each and every exams. Okay, so under group, the maximum 80% of the people who fall under the mediocre group, if you attend only 10 questions out of 20 in business situation analysis, and if you can able to crack it with 100% accuracy, that itself is more than enough for the section business situation analysis. நம்மளுக்கு நிறைய செக்ஷன்ஸ் இருக்கு, அதுல செம்மையா அடிச்சிடலாம். Why? Because as I told you, lot of questions here, it will be, you'll be in a complete uncertain, situation or uncertain, எப்படி சொல்றது, இதுதான் கரெக்டான ஆன்சரானே நிறைய கொஸ்டின்ஸ் தெரியாது, இதுதான் கரெக்டான ஆப்ஷனாவும் நிறைய கொஸ்டின் தெரியாது. So அங்க போயிட்டு நெகட்டிவ் மார்க்கிங்ல மாட்டிக்காதீங்க. As you know already, you have -1/3, which means ஒரு கொஸ்டின் தப்பு பண்ணீங்கன்னா 0.33 marks will be deducted. It is not even -1/4, it is -1/3. So think of the fact that, which means if you make 3 questions wrong, 1 mark will be deducted. That's what it means. 3 question தப்பு பண்ணீங்கன்னா 1 mark காலி. Okay, so make sure that you have this thing in mind. சரி, இதெல்லாம் எந்த ஆப்ஷன் வேணா போட்டுடலாமே. சரி, ஃபர்ஸ்ட் ஒனுக்கு ஆப்ஷன் 1 போடுவோம், செகண்ட் ஒனுக்கு ஆப்ஷன் 3 போடுவோம், ஃபோர்த் ஒனுக்கு ஆப்ஷன் 5 போடுவோம் அப்படின்ட்டு புத்துமதிப்பா நீங்களா ஒரு ரேண்டமா ஒரு பேசேஜ் படிச்சுட்டு, if you go for the question and randomly if you try to answer the given questions based on the 4 guidelines given for you, நீங்க கண்டிப்பா நெகட்டிவ் மார்க்கிங்ல வந்து நிப்பீங்க. That is damn sure, I can able to assure. Okay, so நிறைய பேரு they'll do really good in quant, 20 questions in quant, they'll do really good in data sufficiency, really good in spotting the errors and verbal comprehension. But you know what, this is the part where they will be losing the marks which they have done really good in all the rest of the 4 sections. அங்க எடுத்த மார்க்லாம் இங்க நெகட்டிவ் மார்க்ல விட்டுருவாங்க. I've seen lot many people actually. Okay, so definitely don't do that blunt mistake. கண்டிப்பா பண்ணாதீங்க. That will not help you in any of the ways. Okay, that will take you to a back run. So definitely don't do that. So with that positive approach, let me quickly take you to the very first passage. Hi, yes, Venkat Sharma, and hi Veena. Welcome to the live chat. So I hope you guys are doing good in your preparation. And if you guys கண்டிப்பா நீங்க வந்து பிசினஸ் அனாலிசிஸ் முன்னாடியே பார்த்திருப்பீங்க. ஒரு 18 செட் இருக்குன்னு நினைக்கிறேன். The previously year asked business analysis parts. I am not very sure. Maybe it will be 18 or 20 sets. if I'm not wrong. So completely go through that. நான் வந்து இங்க ஒரு 4-5 செட் எடுத்துக்கேன்னு நினைக்கிறேன். So let me do that. Okay, while doing it, sir, you'll be getting all the nuances, how this fellow does, எப்படி பண்றாங்க, so இதே மாதிரி நம்ம பண்ணலாம் அப்படின்ற மாதிரி கண்டிப்பா உங்களுக்கு you'll be having that referential idea. That's really important. See, ஒரு விஷயத்தை when we by ourselves do know without having any reference, we'll be making flaws, we'll be making mistakes, and with that mistake you'll be learning. But if you have any reference, if you have seen a person doing it before, the same thing, then just by seeing that person, you can get lot of referential ideas. That referential idea is really good for the life. So kindly take it up. And அதோடைய சிறிய முயற்சி தான் இந்த செஷனும். So definitely, I hope this will really help you for a lot of people. With that, let me quickly go for the very first passage. So let me just start reading. So நீங்க என்ன பண்ணணும்னா ரொம்ப ஸ்லோவாகவும் படிக்க கூடாது. சார் வந்து கதை புக் படிக்கிற மாதிரி படிக்க கூடாதுன்னு சொல்லிட்டாரு. ஸோ நம்ம வந்து ரொம்ப கான்சென்ட்ரேட்டடா கான்சியஸா we need to read it அப்படின்னு படிக்கும் போது don't take too much of time. Let me tell you this fact. 20 questions, 2 passage. ஒரு பேசேஜ்க்கு a minimum of 10 minutes or a maximum of 15 minutes granted for you. You can take a maximum of 15 minutes for one passage, which means 2 passage அரை மணி நேரத்துல முடிச்சிருவீங்க. You will complete 2 passages. Let me give you some idea about this. See, listen carefully. If you have 20 questions, that is 2 passages. For one passage, if you take 15, you'll be completing it in 30 minutes. Okay. So the exam time duration is 2 hours. So 2 hours to 30 minutes, you'll be left with 1 hour 30 minutes. In this 1 hour 30 minutes, you need to sort out how many questions? 80 questions. 80 questions attend பண்ணனும் அவசியம் இல்ல. But at least you need to address all the 80 questions. அப்படி address பண்ணாதான் we will get an idea which one 100% we can able to give a short right answer. Okay. So which means within a matter of 90 minutes you need to address 80 questions. அப்ப பாத்துங்க. Then what will be the ratio for exact ratio for one question, how much minutes you need to take it. Okay, the time is really important. இது எல்லாமே நீங்க pre-planned மைண்ட்ல வச்சிட்டால் மட்டுமே தான் you can able to do it 100%. Literally உட்கார்ந்து. And one more important thing I want to tell you, when it comes to business situation analysis, உங்களுக்கு எக்ஸாம் ஹால்ல உங்களுடைய புக்லெட்டை கொடுக்கும் போதே, உங்களுடைய பேப்பரை கொடுக்கும் போதே ஃபர்ஸ்ட் பார்ட் என்னவா இருக்கும்? It is business analysis. So what is the real intention of the question paper setter? To make you consume too much of time at the beginning itself. அப்படின்னு தான் ஒரு கொஸ்டின் பேப்பர் செட்டருடைய மைண்ட் செட் இருக்கும். உங்களுடைய கான்ஃபிடென்ட் நீங்க வந்து see when you are coming and sitting in the exam hall, you'll be very confident, you'll be very spontaneous. உங்க மைண்ட் வந்து ரொம்ப ஆக்டிவா இருக்கும். என்ன பண்ணுவாங்க, ஃபர்ஸ்ட் உங்களுக்கு வந்த உடனே உங்களுக்கு பிசினஸ் அனாலிசிஸ் பார்ட் ஃபர்ஸ்ட் ஒன்ல வச்சுட்டாங்கன்னா, சில பேர் ரேண்டமா பிசினஸ் அனாலிசிஸ்ல இறங்கிடுவாங்க. இறங்கிட்டு they will take 40 minutes, even 1 hour also to solve only 20 questions. So think of the rest of the parts, 80 questions that you have. So definitely my kind advice is not to straightly start up with the business situation analysis part when you are at the scratch of your exam, starting of your exam. So question paper கொடுத்த உடனே business analysis attend பண்ணாதீங்க. Make this the last choice. அதுக்கு முன்னாடி இருக்க quant, I would suggest first go for quant, second go for data sufficiency, third go for spotting the errors, that is a verbal part, verbal ability, fourth go for reading comprehension, the last come to the very first part, business situation analysis. இந்த ஒரு consecutive way of approach நீங்க ஞாபகம் வச்சிட்டீங்கன்னா, definitely I would say you will not get disappointed at the very first. நிறைய பேர் இந்த business analysis நல்லா கதை புக்கு படிக்கிற மாதிரி படிச்சு டைம் விட்டு அப்புறம் they realize that they hardly have 1 hour to complete 80 questions the rest. So அங்கேயே they get frustrated, and with frustration they lose too much of marks and they will go with the negative marking. So in the tappa, don't do that. Try, start addressing the questions, like the order as I said. First, go for quant, second, data sufficiency, third, verbal ability, fourth, comprehensions, reading comprehension, and the fifth, it should be business analysis. Okay. So business analysis na sonna mari 10 question with a decent attempt. If you do, that itself is more than enough. Okay. So that's my perception. And with my suggestion, let me take you to the very first passage. So very first passage, paranga, Mr. Edward Crumb. So you need to read it very consciously. Okay. If you have a pen and paper also, you can take a note here and there, but not needed mostly. Notes deva padadu. Okay. You're not going to remember till the lifetime. Only for the sake of Ranjan in the data mind. That's notes deva. Okay. So you can come quickly and have a reference here. So Mr. Edward Crumb, a building contractor by profession, met with an old friend, Mr. Ratan Das, a marketing consultant, and Mr. Crumb was excited about a business opportunity and wanted to obtain Das evaluation of its prospects. So first, you have a person, Mr. Edward Crumb, who is actually a building contractor. He met his friend, Mr. Ratan Das, who is actually a marketing consultant. Okay, so Mr. Crumb, he was excited about this business opportunity and wanted to obtain Das evaluation of its prospects. So format, a small company producing foam rubber mattress, was in financial trouble and its owners were anxious to sell it. The company had been established 20 years before, okay, but its market share had steadily declined over the last 5 years. Since Mr. Crumb had no previous experience in the mattress business, he requested that his friend to find out he could about that company. So what the very first passage they are talking about here? So there is one mattress foam company called Format that's been in a financial trouble for the past 5 years, and it has seen a steady market share decline, and they are in anxious kind of situation to sell that. So Mr. Edward, he doesn't have any knowledge about the mattress business, so he asked his friend to kindly gain some knowledge about it. Okay, and it starts with Mr. Das first analyzed the company's resources. Its best resource was its product and brand name. So brand name is the first resource and its product. Okay. Foam rubber mattresses are made of imported latex and are extremely firm, unlike synthetic rubber mattress made of polyurethane. However, synthetics are much steeper than foam rubber mattresses. Latex mattresses are known for their orthopedic and anti-allergic qualities, among others. The foam mat brand name had very nearly became a generic term for all type of rubber mattresses. And the Format, however, was the only latex mattresses produced locally. Apart from a superior product, the company had few resources. Okay. Its equipment, while satisfactory, was old and had been fully depreciated. So equipment ellame, it has been weared off. Okay. And it operated in leased premises on a year-to-year basis. Although the landlord was willing to conclude a long-term agreement on favorable terms, on the other hand, company's labor force was experienced and dedicated, and its production manager had more than 10 years experience in the latex manufacturing. So Mr. Joe Davies, the president of the company, was past 27 years old and was anxious to retire. He had tried to retire previously, but had failed to train a successor. Right? And apart from Gordon Frederick, sales manager, no one else shared responsibility for marketing or administration. And Gordon Frederick let Ratan Das know that if the company were sold, he had no intention of remaining. right? And Frederick had 18 years experience in the mattress industry, including 12 years with the format. So Frederick had 18 years experience and including 12 years with format. And if Frederick left the company, Crom might be hard pressed to find a suitable replacement. So Gordon Frederick is someone who's really inevitable, right? And this was another issue that Ratan Das would have to study. And Format's financial position was precarious. The company was heavily in debt, and its in-line of credit fully extended. There was some question as to whether the company would be able to purchase enough latex to keep production going. But Mr. Davies assured Ratan Das the company had a bank letter to credit purchase an additional 3 months supply. So the company had a bank letter to credit, personal additional 3 months of supply. And in spite of Mr. Davies' optimism, the fact was that this company had steadily lost market share. Okay, this is actually the fact. And once a dominant mattress manufacturer with 50% of the local market, its market share had now declined to less than 10%. Mr. Davies attributed this decline to inroads made by spring mattress manufacturers who had only begun production 5 years ago. And spring mattresses now accounted for 70% of the total market. And Davies companies 10%, with the remaining 20% shared by small number of small plants producing synthetic mattress fibers. So spring mattresses had some attributes similar to those of foam rubber. So spring mattress, it has attributes which is quite of similar to foam rubber, such as the orthopedic qualities. Okay, and they were less costly to manufacture, but sold to the consumer at about the same price as format mattresses. Okay, so when it comes to the spring mattresses, it had a similar attributes of the foam rubber, such as the orthopedic qualities, but it is less costly to manufacture than the foam rubber. And also the price, it's been the same price, it's been applied for the format mattresses, right? And because of format's financial difficulties, it posed advertising in newspapers and had no radio. Little if any advertising had been done in the other media over the past 5 years. As a result, retailers were reluctant to handle the product line. By contrast, 2 of the largest spring mattresses manufacturers had advertised heavily. They have advertised heavily in the mass media. One of these manufacturers' products was sold exclusively by the largest furniture chain in the country. Okay, so manufacturing, when it comes to the foam rubber, that is format mattresses, they didn't concentrate more on advertising in the newspapers and no radios. But on the other hand, spring mattresses, they had advertised heavily in the mass media. By doing so, they got an offer to manufacture products sold in the largest furniture chain in the country as well. Okay, so during a study of the mattress market, a number of retailers had expressed the opinion to Mr. Das that an old generation of young people were largely unaware of format products. That the young generation, right? Young people were largely unaware of the format products because of the lack of advertising. And one retailer was quoted as saying, "It is true older people remember." அதாவது பழையவங்களுக்கு அது தெரியுது அதோட மகிமை. இப்ப இருக்க young generation, they are not aware of it. But these mattresses last for almost 20 years. So the durability, if you see, the life of the mattress, it lasts for 20 years. The durability is huge. And the big market is not the replacement market, but sales generated by family formation. thousands of young couples get married every year, and every marriage means another mattress sale, right? So definitely when it comes to wedding, a purchase of new mattresses, involved, right? But these young people only see advertisements for spring mattresses. They didn't see advertisement for what is that? Foam mattresses, right? And it is obviously easier for my salesman to sell a mattress which his customers have seen in countless advertisements, that one which is relatively unknown, right? So Kandipa, when it comes to the customer's mindset, no? So what they often see in the television or radio or somewhere in the social media, they get fascinated over a period of time. First பிடிக்காது, அப்புறம் போக போக பிடிக்கிற மாதிரி நல்லா இருக்க மாதிரி தெரியும். That's what the mindset the customers have defaultly, and that's what the weapon for the manufacturers. So that's what they keep on putting the ads frequently in the televisions. Okay, in some way or the other, in some situation or the other, it would be favoring for the consumers. That's what their real intention is all about. Sometimes the advertisements will annoy, sometimes the advertisements will indirectly influence your purchasing ability. That's really important. Okay, and so Das was aware of the fact that if the format was eager to regain some of its lost market, it would have to launch a major advertising program to educate young adults about the important attributes found in its product. A major question that needed an immediate answer was, to what extent are people aware of format mattresses and their attributes? That was his major question. Other question involved the attitudes of people towards foam rubber mattresses in general, and how these attitudes compare to those towards spring mattresses. So Mr. Das ordered a market research survey to obtain answers to his questions. In brief, the study revealed that a large segment of the population over 25 years of age was aware of format mattresses and had favorable attitudes toward their attributes. About 3/4 of the people expressed a favor for foam rubber mattresses, right, for their children, by contrast with other mattresses for their own use. Awareness among younger segments of the population of the attributes of foam rubber mattresses in general and of format in particular was very low. So the awareness was very low, and few young people expressed an intention to buy foam rubber mattresses. Okay, only few young people expressed their interest. And on the basis of preliminary research result, Crom was optimistic that he could turn the company around in support of his belief. So what? He cited the recognition of the company among a significant portion of the population. So this is what called the assumption statement. Okay, with an optimistic mind, he could turn the company around. So you have some assumption in mind, right? And the fact that they would have buy a format for their children, he believed that once retailers become aware that new management had taken over the company, they would be willing. Okay, so that's what he believed about the retailers. If new management takes over it, right? Definitely. And Crom was aware that the research findings were not always in agreement with conclusions. So he partially believed the research findings, right? That would not be practically in reality with the conclusions. Okay. However, the finding that young people were relatively unaware of the format did not seem to worry him. He did not worry about that, and he felt that a well-designed advertising program would may convince people to buy foam rubber mattress rather than any competing type. And moreover, the introduction of new management team would instill confidence among format bankers. Credit lines would be increased, thereby improving the company's financial position. However, before making a final decision as to whether purchase format, Mr. Krom waited for Ratan Das' final report and recommendation. So here here comes the conclusion. Here concludes the passage. So guys, listen very carefully. So now it's a one very big passage only. So in the padikkumbodhu, what are the different things that we observe? Mr. Edward, who's actually a building contractor who doesn't have any knowledge about the form mattress manufacturing stuff, he went for the assistance with Mr. Krom, who's a who's actually a marketing consultant. Whether we can able to buy this, whether do we have any, how much is the possibility for the pros and how much is the possibility for the cons. Can you please get me a complete report of that? And he, Mr. Das, what he doing? Mr. Ratan Das, he went, he finally, analyzed about the complete resources. So he found the fact that it had the best resource on its product and brand name by the quality which it provides, the extremely firm rubber mattress that will be really good for the, orthopedic and anti-allergic qualities, and also he tries to compare with the other counterpart companies which provide synthetic rubbers. And also when it comes to the spring mattress it has accounted 70% of the total market share report, and manufacturing cost is way more less compared to the foam mattresses. And also manufacturing cost is less, but the selling price of both the mattresses are exactly the same. And he finally realized why this format mattress doesn't have a proper reach despite having amazing qualities and quality when it comes to the material. He found that advertisement was the major drawback for this company. And on the other way, spring mattress producing firms, they had a huge advertisement in the mass media, and they could grab all the youngsters who are getting married. Definitely, see, when it comes to mattress, when it comes to weddings, mattress is something which is inevitable. So that is the time where all the mattress retailers, they get profit. They have a fast moving at the time of wedding times, right? So definitely the youngsters, they are quite a bit aware of spring mattress, but not for the format mattress. And that's how the point Mr. Das realizes that we need to put on more advertisements regarding the actual worth of the format mattress. And he found a lot of things about the employees who have worked in the format mattress, everything they said. So these are the following conclusions that have been illustrated here. So Mr. Krom was aware that the research findings were not always in agreement with the conclusions. That is also very sure, right? So Mr. Krom, he patiently waited for Mr. Ratan Das' final report and recommendations. So this is what the complete business dialogue which has happened based on the format mattress between Krom and Mr. Ratan Das. And Mr. Ratan Das, he spoke to a lot of the employees in the firm working in format mattress, and he gathered a lot of points. So these are the things that we have undergone here. So with that, what we can simply do now, we'll try to go for the questions now. We'll straightly go for the questions. Okay, I hope you guys would have found the answers already. But on a lighter note, I just want you guys, if you've got the possible options for this, kindly let me know in the let me know in the live chat so that I can able to see that. If you've got the options, come on. So the very first question: public awareness of the high quality mattress. This is my first question. That is, bluntly, they have given you public awareness of the high quality of format mattresses. So what you can simply do, what you need to do here, you need to pick any one of the 4 options that has been illustrated here, the 4 guidelines, whether it is a major objective, major factor, minor factor, or major assumption. Come on, just go for it. Just give it a try for this one, guys. Come on. Whether it is a major objective, whether it is a major objective. Very good, Janani, super. Absolutely, you need to go forward. Option B. Why it is option B? Let me give you an explanation out of it. See, this is not a major objective. When it comes to public awareness of the high quality of format matrices, this is one major factor which is directly influenced the major objective of the firm. Okay, so definitely I would say the public awareness was one major factor. Public awareness illa in the company when it comes to the format matrices, the public awareness on the high quality of the format matrices was not that aware. They were unaware of it. But this major factor has to be widespread to the young generation. So definitely it's going to be option B. This is actually a major factor that determines the objective of the passage. You're getting this, guys, everybody? Very good, very good. So let me go for the second one then. Go for the second one. The anti-allergic qualities of format matrices. Whether is that a major objective or major factor or minor factor or major assumption. What's going to be for the second one? Public awareness, that I know that's a major factor. And the next important thing is what? The anti-allergic quality that the format matters have. That is again a major factor for the product. Is that right? The anti-allergic qualities. That is again a major factor for the format company. Right? So definitely, undoubtedly, it's going to be option 2. Right? All good? It is not C. It is not C. It is C, it is B. This is not a minor factor, no? See, why I say it is a major factor? Nalla note pannunga. In the vishayathila, why this what is that format matrix has gained popularity by the product and the name. Idhukku yen in the product popularity kedichichu? Why it has been termed as a best resource? Being extremely firm. Why it has been extremely firm? Because the raw material, that is lactase matter that is being used here, this would be for the orthopedic and anti-allergic patients. If I'm an orthopedic and if I'm very easily prone to the allergy, I'll be having these two in head, so that I'll be buying a mattress which is anti-allergic for me. Appo, this is one major factor which determines my purchasing ability, no? So on the mattress, anti-allergic so this anti-allergic quality is one major factor which determines my purchasing ability. You are getting this? So definitely that's not going to be the minor factor. It should be the major factor. And now we'll get already what I said already, major factor that will be explicitly mentioned in the passage. Correct? Minor factor explicitly it will not be mentioned. Indirectly, okay, it will be bearing a less important element. So major factor explicit passage mentioned and this anti-allergic quality has been explicitly mentioned here. So undoubtedly it should be option B. Yeah. You're getting this, guys, everyone. You're getting this. Kindly give me a thumbs up if you're really clear with this. Come on. நிறைய பேர் option C னு type பண்ணிருக்கீங்க. That's why I need a detailed explanation for the second. Is that clear for everyone? Come on. Third one polama. See, இதெல்லாம் எவ்வளவு ஈஸியா இருக்கு பாருங்க. Just like that, you need to consciously read the passage. அதை படிச்சுட்டு இது மேஜர் ஃபேக்டரா, மைனர் ஃபேக்டரா, மேஜர் assumption or மேஜர் ஆப்ஜெக்டிவான்றதை கண்டுபிடிங்க. அவ்வளவுதான். இப்ப பாருங்க தேர்ட் ஒன் பாருங்க. இப்ப இன்னும் உங்களுக்கு சிம்பிளா மாறிடும். Come on, go for the third one. Whether it is a 1, 2, A, B, C or D. Come on, tell me. What for the third one? Attitude of older consumers towards format matrices. Tell me what's going to be the right answer for this. Attitude of older consumers towards format matrices. The major factor, minor factor, illa major objective, illa major assumption. Very good. Again, this is B. That's it. Why? You paranga, they have clearly illustrated the older consumers have a positive attitude towards the format matrix. Correct? Younger generation, they are unaware of the matrix. Older generation, they had a positive attitude. So definitely the positive attitude would increase, will some way increase the sale of the matrix. If not today, tomorrow at least. Okay, so this is one major factor which will increase, which will determine the objective. So definitely it should be option B for the third as well. Very good, all good. Yeah. Yes, Veena. But according to decision maker, it's not the major factor. How can you say that? Definitely it's a major factor, Veena. Let me tell you, if I'm a decision maker and if I want to keep all the, the third point in account, this attitude of the old consumer, if they have a good attitude towards my format matrix, that's one major factor for me, no? How can I say that it's not the major factor? See, if I'm a decision maker and if I want to start up a firm, definitely I need to see that what are all the points that will directly influence my sale. That I need to keep in mind. If the older consumers have the positive attitude towards the format matrix, that is one major factor for me. Whether it will become a minor factor, definitely not. It will not be my minor factor. Right? You're getting this? You're getting this, Veena. Third one, it is undoubtedly option B. It is not C. Okay? It is not a minor factor. I think you're still in confusion. You want a better explanation for this. Third one, it is B. That is, it is again a major factor. This has been explicitly mentioned in the passage as well. Passage la enga mention பண்ணிருக்காங்க சொல்லுங்க. See. இங்க அண்டர்லைன் பண்ணிருக்கோம் பாருங்க. It is true older people remember format, but these matrices last for almost 20 years. Right? So they have a positive impact for the format matrix. That's my major factor for determining the objective. Right? Apro fourth பாருங்க, willingness of retailers to stock format products in the future. Fourth one. What's going to be the fourth one? Whether it's A, B, C or D. That is willingness of retailers to stock format products in the future. That should definitely be my major factor. Again, this is B. Again, this is B, not C. It should not be minus factor again. Why? In the retailers, he believed that once retailers became aware that a new management had taken over the company, they would be willing to stock the product, which means, so the willingness of the retailers to stock format products in the future, this is actually a major factor. If the company is being switched over to the management marichina, then the willingness of the companies to stock products will be increasing. So that decides, no? That decides the sale. That decides the growth of the company. So definitely that should be put up in a major factor. Okay. So in the nalume vandu major factor. We'll go for the fifth one. Fifth one parunga. What for the fifth one? Format's present market share. Whether it's a major factor. Format's present market share. I know damn sure that format's present market share is hardly 10% or 20%. Inge mention panniranga. Correct? Inge mention panniranga. I've underlined it somewhere. Yeah. So it's been clearly given that its market share had now declined to less than 10%. Correct? Appo, this should be my minor factor. So format's present market share should be my minor factor. Adana consideration but that is not my major factor, because what I'm trying to do in the future, I'm trying to increase it. So I have lot many possibilities. Now advertisement kudukalam. If I try to switch over from the management, the retailers will have the trust and they will stock a lot of products from mine. So it will happen. So in the present market share, that's a minor consideration now. So the minor product factor, it will not be my major factor. That's major factor because I have lot of way forward optimistic ideologies. Right? So definitely I should put this format's present market share to be in the minor factor. Okay? And Ratan Das recommendations. Ratan Das recommendation, tell me. Again, Ratan Das recommendation should be a minor factor. Why? Based on the passage, what Mr. Who's that fellow? From what he decided actually. Crom was aware that research findings were not always in agreement with the conclusion, which means the research findings which Mr. Ratan Das also will publish or will produce will not be the final conclusion of the decision maker. So he again have his own stand of, taking a rightful decision. So definitely a risk factor irko. நீங்க எந்த பிசினஸ் ஸ்டார்ட் பண்ணாலுமே எந்த ஃபார்ம் ஸ்டார்ட் பண்ணாலுமே ரிஸ்க் ஃபேக்டர் will be involved. பட் அந்த ரிசர்ச் ஃபைண்டிங்ஸ் இதெல்லாமே வச்சு it will not directly influence the objective. You're getting this? அப்போ ரத்தன் தாஸ் recommendations மே ஒரு minor factor தான். I hope you guys are clear now. இப்போ உங்களுக்கு புரியுதா? Why is the reason we choose option B for major factor for the first four? And for the fifth and sixth, we choose option C. You guys are really clear? Kindly give me a thumbs up if you are clear with this, guys. Come on. If you're really clear with this, give me a thumbs up, guys. Come on. Next one போலாமா? See, இதெல்லாம் ரொம்ப தெளிவா क्वेश्चனை படிச்சிட்டு டக்குனு முந்திரி கொட்டத்தனமா ஆப்ஷனை தேர்ந்தெடுக்க கூடாது. ரொம்ப தெளிவா we need to analyze it and go for the options. Okay, that's really important. Okay, it's not like Just by seeing a statement, you got an error and spotting the error. அப்படிலாம் கிடையவே கிடையாது. You need to analyze it. It's really important. Okay. Next one. All good. Plausibility of changing consumer attitudes through advertising. Whether it will be what? Plausibility of changing consumer attitudes through advertising. இது பாத்தீங்கன்னா nowhere in the passage it is been mentioned that நீங்க advertisement பண்ணீங்கன்னா there will be a changing consumer attitude. அப்படின்றது எங்கேயுமே இங்க மென்ஷன் பண்ணல. But what they did a comparison. Spring mattress, they did a lot of advertisements. That's why they are very familiar with the youth generation. அப்படின்ற கம்பாரிசன் பண்ணாங்க. பட் இங்க என்ன சொல்லிட்டாங்கன்னா they have stated you a statement with an assumption. You're getting this. You're getting this, guys. So plausibility of changing consumer attitudes to advertisements பாத்தீங்கன்னா this is one major assumption. நம்ம assumption பண்ணிக்கலாம். நம்மளா maybe it can happen அப்படின்ற மட்டுமே தான் நாம வந்து we can able to come to a conclusion. ஒருவேளை நான் அட்வர்டைஸ்மெண்ட் கொடுத்தால் கன்சியூமர் உடைய attitude மாறும் over my product. In that way, I can able to assume, right? So this is one major assumption. This is not based on the actual fact. This is one major assumption. So fourth one, it is undoubtedly option. Sorry, seventh one, undoubtedly option D. All good? Clear, everyone? Yes, Veena. Chrome was, he was reliant, absolutely reliant on Ratanda's recommendations. But in the last para, he added a statement. What? He added a statement that Chrome was aware that research findings were not always in agreement with his conclusions. அப்ப என்ன நினைக்கிறார் அவரு? அவர் எடுக்க போற முடிவு வந்து எப்பவுமே ரிசர்ச் ஃபைண்டிங்ஸ்க்கு ஒத்து போகல. You have a checks and balance when it comes to, as far as Chrome's concerned, research findings were not always in agreement. So that agreement which Ratan Das produced, the findings that Ratan Das produced will also be not in line with his conclusions now. You get this? So definitely then Ratan Das recommendations happens to be a minor factor for Chrome. Correct? Here Chrome is actually the decision maker. உங்களுக்கு இது நல்லாவே புரியணும். You need to understand that the final call or the final decision should be taken by Chrome. Did you get this? So with respect to Chrome, Ratan Das recommendations is what? A minor factor. You're getting this? Fine. So, eighth one. That is orthopedic qualities of format matters. We already know that. Anti-allergic qualities are major factor. Orthopedic qualities are major factor. So undoubtedly it is option B. That's it. Very good. Very good. You guys have got the right answer. So seventh one, it is not B, it is D. Okay. Kindly change your answer. Seventh one, it is not major factor, it is a major assumption. Yeah. And ninth one, Frederick's intention to leave. Frederick's intention to leave. It is actually what? A minor factor. But will somehow influence, directly influence pannum with the objective. But it is not a major factor. Frederick is actually a manager who works in that firm. So our intention to live, this will fall in a minor factor, not in a major factor. Okay, you're getting this. Getting this, everybody. And 10th one, undoubtedly, likelihood that credit lines could be increased. See, now already if you have terms like probably, maybe, likely, likelihood, chances, all statements which starts with an assumption, maybe. So in the madri, if you have various terms which absolutely, terms that, which absolutely states that exact sentence in a assumption way, showing a likelihood regime, this should be what? An assumption. That's it. You're getting this? Getting this, everybody? You're getting this? Kindly give me a thumbs up. So, Vedrigarama, first passage here, we have got all the 10 questions, the right options. And the options, every one, you're getting this, everybody? Come on, give me a thumbs up if you're really clear with this. Yeah. Definitely, I could able to figure out that. Okay, we have got some idea how to do the question, how to read the passage, how to analyze whether which one is a major factor, which one is a minor factor, which one is a major assumption, and which one is a major objective and everything. But is that practically possible to complete the given passage within 15 minutes? Is that possible? Now, time, you can take a maximum of 15 minutes, I said. But if you're really smart enough, you need to completely finish this within 10 minutes. 10 minutes is an ideal time which you can able to take to complete the, to complete one passage in business situation analysis. So, either 10 நிமிஷத்துல 10 இருந்து 15 நிமிஷத்துக்குள்ள நம்மளால முடிக்க முடியுமா அப்படின்ற question that should erupt in your mind now. That's a question I need to put forward here. Definitely. So, நம்ம எல்லாத்தையும் படிச்சுட்டு வந்துட்டோம். படிக்கிறதுக்கே நம்மளுக்கு we no, like, just to make you understand, I did a slow reading. If you're reading it by yourself, you need to go for a fast read. நானாவே போடுறேன்னா நான் ஸ்பீடா படிக்க ஆரம்பிச்சேன். I can ideally complete this complete passage within a matter of, let's say, 5 minutes. 5 நிமிஷத்துல முடிச்சுடுவேன். Maximum I would take. Within 5 minutes, if I complete it, then the rest of 5 minutes I'll be spending it for all the 10 questions. That's it. So within 10 minutes, I'll be completing all the 10 questions for the passage one. That's it. So that should be the ideal time. If you try to do so in that way, definitely it would be really efficient for you to go for other sets of questions to address. Okay? Definitely possible. So come on. I just gave you a pathway. In the trick, I follow pani. Quickly go for this one. I think the second passage is really small. You go for the second passage. Try to do it. Let me switch over. Okay. After some time, I'll switch over to the next slide. Romba kutti passage da. I think you can able to do it very easily. Come on, guys. Try to go for it. Go for the second passage. It's all for you. Yes, Veena, we'll go for a discussion. So, I think இங்க நான் ஒரு 4 செட் கம்பைல் பண்ணிருக்கேன்னு நினைக்கிறேன். I'll go for the TANCET 2020 business situation analysis discussion in a meantime. Not today exactly. So, I'll go for it in the next session probably. Okay. So, we'll go for that. We'll do that as well. Okay. You don't worry. If you have completed reading the slide, kindly let me know in the live chat so that I can able to switch over to the next slide. Come on. You go for the next. Come on. Done with this. Next. Okay, you can better go for the questions also. Let me just leave it to you. Come on. So I have 10 questions based on the given passage. Try to address it. Singla, let me go for the question. Yeah, let's go for the question. I'll just have a quick read of the question and then I'll quickly come back to the, I'll have a quick read of the passage and I'll come back to the question. Okay. So, yeah. So, second passage, the shop or shelf company supermarkets are situated in Bangalore, Coimbatore, and Vellore. The company is dynamic and aggressive, having grown from 8 stores 10 years ago to 26 today. And Kanchipuram is a town 60 miles from Vellore, and it has not shown the spectacular growth of other suburbs. But its population has increased from around 56,000 to 130,000 in the past decade. With no other shop or shelf supermarket within 20 miles of the area, the shop or shelf company is considering opening a store in Kanchipuram. The arguments against some shop or shelf executives oppose the project as a poor risk. They point to the proposed site, which is in a shopping center 3 miles from Kanchipuram business district. That is why they are opposing. They have a shopping center 3 miles away from Kanchipuram district. And 2 other food chains have failed on this site because they claim most new residences are on the other side of the community. However, the shopping center owners demand a 5 years lease. Shop or shelf would have to try to find another business to take over the lease should its own store fail because the end of the time. And if a shop or shelf supermarket must be open in Kanchipuram, it would be far better, these executives argue, to build it in heart of the community. But they point out another supermarket is already there. So they cannot plot it in the heart of the city, right? And arguments for the majority of the executives maintain that the site has great potential. A new east-west highway is being built which will pass Kanchipuram to the north and force the car commuters to come Kanchipuram to pass by the shopping center. And a housing project of 3,000 units is going to be constructed nearby. The average household is expected to consist of 5 people with over Rs 30,000 of income to dispose of annually. They also argue that the center of Kanchipuram is now congested with traffic and has extremely poor parking facilities, while there is excellent parking in the shopping center. Investment in a new building in Kanchipuram, proper than a 5-year lease should the store fail. They are not too concerned about the other supermarket in Kanchipuram. There is enough business for both. Besides, the competitors' prices are higher than shop or shelf. Okay, so the price is much more considerable when it comes to shop or shelf, right? And they also discount past supermarket failures in the shopping center. And they claim these were caused more by poor management than by the shopping centers being slightly off the beaten path. So the decision, the board of directors listens to both the sides and then votes to open a shop or shelf store at the Kanchipuram shopping center. So this is what the passage is all about. So the idea of setting up a brand new store, shop or shelf in Kanchipuram, discussing all the pros and cons, each and everything completely, which has been laid, the 10 questions in front of you. So we need to completely go through this and get the proper, option for the given 10. Right, all good? First, let's go for the very first one, guys. Come on, you just tell me, let me know in the live chat what would be the right option for the first one. Very good, Janani. First one, it is C. It is that C. That is, the residents of the projected residential development will shop in the Kanchipuram store. Is that 100% a factual data? Is that 100%? It has been assumed. See, it has been an assumption that the residents at the projected residential development, there is one 3,000 unit projected residential development. No, that's going to be there is one housing project that's going to be constructed nearby. So this resident people, the projected residential development, this will shop in the Kanchipuram store, they said. Is that 100% true? This is one statement based on an assumption. If it is a statement based on an assumption, then it should fall under major assumptions. It should fall under major assumptions. So the first one, it is undoubtedly option D. Option D is the right answer for the first. Okay. Second one, poor management causing past supermarket failures. Poor management causing past supermarket failures. What should be the right one for the second? Again, it is option D only. Again, it is option D. I'll tell you how it is. Poor management causing past supermarket failures means you cannot 100% say that only the poor management caused the past supermarkets failures. There may be a lot of other factors also, right? You cannot 100% say that. So just by the assumption, they are telling you that only the poor management caused past supermarkets failure. There may be other factors also. right? So first of all, it is nowhere mentioned here. It is nowhere mentioned that the poor management, it has caused the past supermarket failures. Right? There may be other factors also. This is one assumption they made. Nowhere in the passage they mentioned poor management caused past supermarket failures. So again, it's going to be option D for the second. And how about for the third one? New East-West Highway. What for the third one? New East-West Highway. Definitely this should be option C. Why it should be option C? This is a minor factor. Why? New East-West Highway is a minor factor that may indirectly determine the growth of the shop or self supermarket. This is not a major factor that will directly determine. This is one minor factor which is on the way where the placement of the supermarket is to be erupted. So this will indirectly may influence the growth of the supermarket. So New East-West Highway is a minor assumption. Okay, we are getting this, guys, everyone. Third one, it is undoubtedly option C. All good? Yeah. And fourth, expansion of dynamic company. Fourth one. Absolutely very good. Everybody is doing good. Option A, expansion of dynamic company. That is the objective now. Correct? The objective of this dynamic company shop or shelf is to expand its network. Correct? Expansion of dynamic company is the main objective of the passage. So undoubtedly it is option A. Very good. Good going, guys. Superb. I hope you guys would have trained. Super. Fifth one, varanga. Failure of 2 supermarkets due to poor site selection. What for the fifth one? Fifth one. Come on, let's see who can bring me the right option for this. Idhula parunga. Fifth one, very good, Janani. Fifth one, it is undoubtedly option C. See, they are talking about the failure of 2 supermarkets that has been failed due to poor site selection. Anga parking facility and also the prices comparably are high. So, idellame solliranga. Anal, this is one minor factor which will indirectly may influence my shop or shelf supermarket. This is not my major factor. Okay. அந்த ரெண்டு சூப்பர் மார்க்கெட் ஏன் ஃபெயில் ஆச்சு அப்படின்னு எடுத்து பார்க்கும்போது that should be my minor factor that will indirectly may determine the influence my what objective, right? So definitely option C should be the right answer for the fifth one. Is that clear? Is that clear, everyone? For the fifth one, it should be option C. And undoubtedly for the sixth one, it should be option A again. This is again a word. Yeah. Sixth one, again, it is a major objective. Company or a major objective for the supermarket shop or shelf. They have major objective to establish a new store, to increase the net worth. These are all the major objective of that company. So undoubtedly it is option A for the 6th. And what for the 7th? What for the 7th? New housing development. Definitely it's a major factor. Kandipa, Ilya. New housing development near my store is definitely the major factor that will directly influence my growth of the company. So definitely new housing development is a major factor. Is that clear, everyone? You can ask me a question, sir. எதுக்கு நியூ ஈஸ்ட் வெஸ்ட் ஹைவேக்கு மைனர் ஃபேக்டர் சொன்னீங்க, இது நியூ ஹவுசிங் டெவலப்மெண்ட்டுக்கு எதுக்கு மேஜர் ஃபேக்டர் சொல்றீங்க? நியூ ஈஸ்ட் வெஸ்ட் ஹைவேல it is not all time you will be getting the consumers, but when it comes to a new housing development near the locality where you will be plotting a supermarket, the complete mass of people who are residing in that housing flats, they'll be coming to your supermarket. That's one standard factor, major factor that will boost your growth. So definitely east west highway is one passage, but housing la kandipa people irupanga. So that is one major factor, and east west highway is one minor factor. You're getting this, guys? So 7th one, it is B. Very good. And 8th one, car commuters will shop at Kanchipuram supermarket. 8th one, car commuters will shop at Kanchipuram supermarket. Idu or assumption na. You cannot tell it 100%. Just by assumption, I can tell that the car commuters will shop at Kanchipuram supermarket. Okay? So major assumption this is. And 9th one, high disposable income of expected new residents. High disposable income of expected new residents. If they have a high disposable income, if they have a new housing development and the new residents, if they have a high disposable income, the more is the income, more is the expenditure. That is what the actual economy teaches. நம்மளுக்கு எவ்வளவு இன்கம் வருதோ அதுக்கு ஏற்ற மாதிரி தான் நம்மளுடைய செலவுகளும் இருக்கும். So definitely, if more is the expenditure, then more will be the income then more will be the growth of the supermarket. So definitely, this high disposable income of expected new residents will be the major factor. 9th one, it's going to be option B, major factor that will influence the growth of the firm. And 10th one, Kanchipuram's prices are lower than those of competition. இது ஆக்சுவலா உங்களுக்கு பாசேஜ்ல கொடுத்திருக்கான், கரெக்ட்டா? The Kanchipuram supermarket prices are lower than those of competitors. So it's been explicitly mentioned in the passage, and this is one major factor as well. Price கம்மியா இருந்துச்சுன்னா உங்களுடைய சேல் அதிகமா தான் இருக்க போகுது. The major factor that will determine the growth of the firm. So 9th one it is B, 10th one it is again B. I has got the idea how to tackle this. It's B, not D. It's B, not D. 9th one, it is not an assumption. 9th one, it is not an assumption. For the new residents, that will in turn make them spend more on expenditures, and that will in turn influence the growth of the firm. Correct that? So high disposable income of expected new residents is a major factor. It's not an assumption. You're getting this, guys, everybody. Give me a thumbs up if you're really clear with this. Come on. Give me a thumbs up if you're really clear with this. Come on. வெற்றிகரமா 2 முடிச்சிருக்கோம். I think we have 2 more. to be completed. Next one, Bolama. Everybody. We go for the next one. Yes. Come on. So this is all for you. Go for this passage, guys. So this is all for you. Go for it. Try completely go through the passage. இதை முடிச்சிட்டீங்கன்னா just let me know in the live chat so that I can able to switch over for the next slide. We'll go for the next slide. We're talking about the previous one, Veena. Yeah. The residents in the projected residential development will shop in the Kanchipuram store. This is not the major factor. See, Inga, you're telling something just by making an assumption. Projected residential development na supermarket பக்கத்துல கட்ட போற residential apartment வரப்போற residents, they will shop in Kanchipuram store. So definitely this should be put under major, not a major factor. Did you get this? Yeah. I hope you're clear now. Yes. Come on. Next question, Polama. Come on. The second passage, the second slide is for you. Come on, go for it. Okay, here we have the questions. So try to go through the questions now. Come on. So let me just quickly go for a read for the passage. In the middle step, we'll come for the questions part. Read. Let me try to highlight the things as well. So in 1997, Mr. Deepak, a chemical engineer, began experimenting in his spare time with a new method for processing fresh orange juice. By 2000, he had perfected the process to such an extent that he was ready to begin production in a small way. This process enabled him to extract 18% more juice from oranges than was typically extracted from a pressure juicer of the type currently used in cafes. Okay. This process also removed some of the bitterness which got into juice from the peelings when oranges were squeezed into peeling them. Since many of the better quality restaurants prefer to serve fresh orange juice instead of canned or frozen juices, Mr. Deepak believed he could find a ready market for his product. Another appeal of his product would be that he could maintain more consistent juice flavor than haphazard restaurant juicing usually produced. Mr. Deepak patented the process and then started production. Since his capital was limited, he began production in a small building, which previously had been a woodworking shop. With the help of his brother, Mr. Deepak marketed the juice through local restaurants. The juice was distributed in glass bottles, which proved to be rather expensive because of high breakage. The new product was favorably accepted by the public and the business proved to be a success. Mr. Deepak began to receive larger and more frequent orders from his customers and their business associates. In 2002, he quit his regular job in order to devote full time to his juice business. He soon reached his capacity because of his inability to personally over a larger area with his pickup truck. right? And the 14th one, continued demand by the public for Mr. Deepak's orange juice. I would not say this is 100% gonna happen, but I can say that's an assumption. The continued demand. See, it may happen or it may not. The public may have, they can have a continued demand or they cannot have also. So definitely this statement is based on an assumption. So undoubtedly it should be option 4 for the 14th one. It should be option 4 for the 14th one, right? The continued demand by the public for Mr. Deepak's orange juice. It is option 4. That is, it's a major assumption. And possibility of doubling sales through expanded distribution. Fifteenth one. Possibility of doubling sales through expanded distribution. Definitely it's a major factor. Why? Because if you try to expand the distribution, you will have the possibility of doubling the sales, right? So it is a major, that's what he said. Yeah, we would have figure of 10%. This is the major objective for Mr. Deepak. Small scale of current advertising, a minor factor. And value of patent held by Mr. Deepak. This is again a minor factor which will no way influence the growth of the company. Value of patent held by Mr. Deepak, it's a minor factor which may indirectly influence, okay? And Mr. Deepak's current level of sales. Mr. Deepak current level of sales, it's just an assumption. Right? We are not very certain about it, so it's just an assumption. Okay? So that's it, guys. We have got the exact options for the given 10 questions. Maybe you would have got much more trained how to make a perfect, flexible, appropriate option for the given questions being asked based on the passage. Okay? So, let me take you to the next slide, next passage. Kindly go for it. Make sure you read it as soon as possible so that we can able to go for the next one. Yes, Venkat Sharma, I've already created a playlist. In the description, you'll be having a playlist of mine. Okay? And you'll also be having my educator profile link also. So on the profile link, click it will take you to the Unacademy Learning App, right? And also my playlist also been mentioned in the description. Yellame in the description in the video killer. You can kindly have a check. And the playlist click you'll be getting all the videos that I've made exclusively for the TANCET. Okay? You can watch it and get benefited. But I can say that's an assumption. So let me go for a read. So in the early 2007, Roomway Clock Company was considering the introduction of new line of electric clocks in an effort to increase unit sales and thereby utilize a greater percentage of its production facilities. So the new line would be sold under the brand name Remold and would be marketed in direct competition with the lower priced models of the regular Roomway line. While the total market for clocks had increased in recent years, Roomway's unit sales had remained relatively constant. The company's sales manager left that one way to increase the sales was to introduce a line of non-fair traded clocks. The Roomway company had been producing a line of quality household clocks for almost a century. Throughout its existence, the company had maintained an excellent reputation for the production of quality clocks. Many of its first clocks were known to be still operating in satisfactory fashion. Some were even considered family heirlooms. In 2005, the Roomway company produced a line consisting of 8 basic models in 2006. However, 4 new models were added, making a total of 12 models of mechanical clocks sold under the Roomway name. Of these, 2 were alarm clocks. They were table model occasional clocks and 7 were wall clocks. So each model was produced in several different colors with black, brown and red, the most popular one. Styles ranged from traditional to ultra modern. The company employed a full-time designer and emphasized style in its dealer and consumer promotions. The clock market was considered to be highly competitive. The industry was composed of a number of firms, most of which were small or medium sized. The giant in the field was General Electric with its Telecron line of electric clocks. The smaller firms sold either on a price or quality of workmanship basis. These firms usually produced a relatively small number of models and changed styles very frequently. And Roomway was one of the medium-sized companies with about 5% of industry sales. The company's share of the market had been greater during the late 1970s and the early 1980s, but increase in the number of firms selling inexpensive electric clocks had cut into company share substantially. Because of an expanding market, however, the Roomway unit sale had remained relatively constant since 1995. Sales of Roomway clocks approximately 7 million in 2006. The increase in sales which had taken place was due almost entirely to change its Roomway's prices. The Roomway company employed a salesman who sold to 300 distributors, most of whom were jewelry wholesalers. And these wholesalers sold to over 14,000 retail outlets, of which 80% were jewelry stores and the rest department stores. The bulk of the company's sale to department stores were accounted for by 60 to 70 large stores. Each of the company's salesmen had about 20 large retail accounts to which he sold direct. If an outlet which had been served by one of the wholesalers was sold directly by a room-way salesman, the outlet was billed through the wholesaler so that the later received its margin. To back up the efforts of the salesman, the company budgeted about rupees 25 lakhs annually for advertising. About 70% was spent on consumer advertising and the remainder on trade advertising. Most of the consumer advertisements were placed in magazines, although some radio spots were used. The advertisements stressed the up-to-date styling and quality of the room-way clocks. Room-way clocks were priced at a retail from 100 to 600, but most of the sales were in the 300 to 400 price range. The company established a policy of resale price maintenance for the room-way line to protect the small dealer. This policy was policed largely by the examining dealer advertisements and collecting information from the trade sources. If a dealer sold room-way merchandise at less than fair traded price way, issued a warning to the dealer. If a second violation occurred within a year, room-way sought a court injunction against the dealer to prevent future violations. Actually, room-way had little difficulty in maintaining its retail prices. The company did, however, face growing price competition from small cloth manufacturers who frequently offered large credit jewelers and discount houses a special price for a volume order. So here you have the example of a comparable price structure on room-way and remold clocks. Price room-way model number 102 fair traded, remold model number C102 not fair traded. So lots of 1 to 24, lots of 24 or more. So list, if you see, it is 110 for the dealer, to distributor it is 72, to distributor it is 55, and dealer it is 67, and to the distributor it is 52. That is the not fair traded, and 159 for the dealer and 45 for the distributor. Okay. And no quantity discounts offered on this model. The new line of clocks under consideration in 2006 will be sold under the remold brand and would consist solely for 2 electric alarm clocks and 3 electric wall models. The styles for these 5 models would be obtained from previously discontinued room-way models. Second, new models developed especially for remold. And third, modified current room-way models, usually script versions. So these clocks would have suggested list prices ranging from 70 to rupees 150. These prices would be identical to the prices charged for the comparable room-way models. However, the remold line would not be fair traded and the price to dealers would be less. It was expected that many retailers would sell the remold line at considerably less than the list price. And the only advertising plan for the remold line was some illustrated price list for use by company salesmen and distributors, point of purchase signs, display racks, consumer handouts for use by retailers. This material would be free to distributors and dealers. It was thought that many of the retailers handling the room-way line would also handle the remold models. It was expected that the quality of the room-way models would be used as a selling point by both distributors and retailers. It was hoped that additional cut prices outlets such as credit jewelers, large drug chain outlets and discount houses would be interested in the new line. So this is all about the complete passage, a very big lengthy passage. So we need to completely go through this. So they are talking about the introduction of remold watches in already existing, the legacy itself with the room-way models. So the difficulties, how it is being placed, and the checks and balance with the dealers and the distributors. And they are talking about the percentage distribution of various costs of advertising and other expenses, and the average pricing of the models from 100 to 600 and mostly over a price range of 300 to 400. So this is being discussed here, and the company budget to be 25 lakhs and the number of distributors who sold. So everything is being discussed here. So with that, Let's quickly go for the questions part. Quickly go for the questions part and see whether which one kicks out here. The very first option, if you see, the utilization of excess capacity. The utilization of excess capacity is actually the major factor. It's a major factor since the company, it wanted to improve its overall performance. If the company, if it wants to improve its overall performance, then the utilization of excess capacity will be a major factor for it. Okay, so undoubtedly it's going to be option B for the very first one. And the second one, room-based declining market share. Declining market share is again a major factor. Excuse me. So that is room-based declining market share is again a major factor for it. And the room-based 100 years in business, this is actually a minor factor which may or may not, influence the major objective of the given passage, right? So option C should be the right answer for the third. And consumers' acceptance of the new line. Consumers' acceptance of the new line should also be the major factor. That should be the major factor actually, right? Consumers' acceptance for the new line is a major factor that will improve the sales of the company, right? And the competition from small manufacturers, that is actually a minor factor, right? Definitely there will be a competition, we know that. So the competition from the minor from the minor manufacturers, small manufacturers is a minor factor since it may not directly affect the sales of the company, right? It is actually a minor factor. Why? Because it may not directly affect. You're getting this? And the sixth one, need to increase unit sales. The need to increase unit sales is actually the major objection. The major objective of the passage is need to increase the unit sales. Okay. Since the company is keen on increasing its sales and overall performances, right? And seventh one, the reputation of Roomway. The reputation of Roomway helps the company retain its sales and performance. Again, this should be the major objective. And the protection of the small dealers, it's going to be the minor objective. That may not directly influence the sales of the company, right? So the protection of the small dealer is a minor factor since it is not directly impact the performance of the company, right? And ninth one, the importance of styling, it should be the major factor. The importance of styling should be the major factor, right? Since it will increase the demand and sales of the company. The importance of styling will increase this demand and sales of the company. And sales to department stores. Sales to department stores is actually a major assumption. Since the company expects its sales to improve when it is done through the departmental stores. Okay, the sales to department stores, it is actually a major assumption. Okay, getting this, guys, everyone. Fine, all good. So that's it. We have come to the last passage of today's session. We'll quickly go for a read. Try to go for it. With this, we'll try to wind up this lengthy marathon of business situation analysis. In the session, when it comes to business analysis, you need to be super thorough and answer all the 20 questions granted for you, right? Come on. So the line which has been hidden here, that's the line exactly was at the time surplus shoe production in Digibot land. Right? The line which has been hidden, production in Portland. The most factories having, and you have the continuation in the next slide. Yes, Vijay Sippy, I cannot actually simultaneously move my photo and keep it there. It's all in a live streaming process. It's been already said. That's the word which is being needed. Okay, I've written it here. Now I hope you're clear with this, right? Done with this? Go for the next slide. Yeah. Next slide for you. Yeah. So this sounds to be one very big passage. So we'll completely go through the passage now. So let me start with that. The success of Excel Corporation in the investment conscious country of Djibouti was recently the subject of government inquiry. Djibouti is a developing country about the size of New Delhi with a population of 10 million people. It has a small but growing industrial base, and several multinational business concerns have established manufacturing plants in various parts of the country. The government policy in Djibouti has traditionally favored foreign investment. The leaders of all political parties have been virtually unanimous in their belief that foreign investment in Djibouti would contribute to speeding that country's economic development, a major priority of both the ruling coalition and the opposition parties. Of special interest to the government were those industries that exported a significant share of their total output. Since Djibouti has a relatively small population, there was a limit to the amount of goods that could be produced for the local market. Also, the government did not want to encourage foreign investors to compete with local industry, even though new industries might elevate the already high unemployment rate. A final reason for encouraging export-intensive industries was to earn badly needed foreign exchange. Djibouti had a chronic deficit in its balance of trade, that its import were regularly greater than its exports. This meant it had to use scarce foreign exchange to pay for the growing deficit. Therefore, Djibouti welcomed the potential investors that would promise to export a significant share of their total output. So, when executives of Excel Corporation proposed to establish a shoe manufacturing plant, which would be export intensive, it received ready approval from the government. And the government support for the enterprise was given not only because of the promise to export, but also because of the high unemployment rate in the country. However, approval was given despite the fact that there was at the time surplus shoe production in Djibouti, and most factories having large excess capacities and underworked labor forces. It was known that Excel had promised the government, among other things, to employ hundreds of workers, reduce the price of shoes by some 30%, and export more than half of its output. In return for these promises, Excel received the following concessions from the government. Land was given to the company on a lease basis for a period of 99 years, rent-free. A government-owned contracting firm built the factory at low subsidized prices. The company received loans at very low interest rates for an extended period of time. These loans could be renewed at company request at lower than the prevailing market interest rate. The government trained workers at the plants at no expense to the company. So the production commenced 1 year after the first equipment arrived at the new plant. It took another half year to properly train the new workforce to operate the sophisticated equipment which was introduced. After the running-in period, production continued smoothly for about a year until a labor dispute occurred. It appeared that management wanted to dismiss about 10% of the workforce owing to what a company spokesperson called a temporary slack in demand for Excel products. The labor union representing the company's workforce refused to accept any reduction in the workforce and threatened a strike if workers were terminated. After some discussion, union representatives agreed that the company might be justified in laying off some workers, but nowhere near the 10% figure that management desired. At any rate, the union claimed that the company must first submit its request to a joint union management grievance committee, which was authorized under the current labor agreement to deal with such disputes. Management agreed to union demand after several days of bargaining. An agreement was worked out where Excel would be allowed to terminate most part-time workers amounting to only 1% of the total folks. Although the agreement brought about a temporary solution to the current problem, labor management relation at Excel continued to be seen as a management was convinced that more workers were redundant than the union cared to admit. After another 6 months, it became apparent that what management had termed as temporary slack in demand was in reality a failure of the company to sell the quantity of shoes that has been forecast before production began. Actual sales never reached the target quantity, and as a result, the company lost Rs 10 million in such of its first 2 years of operation. The Indian representatives on the board of directors who constituted a major majority voted to terminate the company's operation in Djibouti. Shortly after the vote, bankruptcy hearing began because Excel was located in an underdeveloped area of the country, and the government was worried about the political ramification if production ceased. The company employed 500 workers, and quite a few shopkeepers were dependent upon the patronage. When government representatives asked Excel management of what could be done to keep the company operating, they received the following answer. Management was willing to continue production if the government granted the company an additional 50 million loan on favorable terms. And if the government could not grant such loan, then another alternative was to purchase the company from Excel at a reasonable price. The government was in dilemma. On the one hand, it was concerned about the political consequences if Excel should continue the bankruptcy proceedings. On the other hand, if it granted the loan, it might be setting a precedent for any other company that was in financial difficulties. Moreover, that there was certain risk involved in lending the money to a company in a bad shape. And the government appointed a special committee to investigate this financial condition of Excel and decide the issue. 1 month later, the committee submitted its report. The major finding was that Excel had not kept any of its original promises to the government. For one thing, Excel's shoe prices were no longer than those of any of its competitors. As for exports, not only had the company failed to reach its promised goal of 50%, but as of the bankruptcy hearings, its exports for a 5-year period only amounted to 5% of total output. In light of these developments, the government felt that it had to make a quick decision in Excel affair in such a way to avoid criticism from the opposition. So this is all about the lengthy, passage related with the venture of the company Excel Corporation in a country, Djibouti, and the various concessions and favorisms offered to the company, and the company Excel Corporation doesn't have met the various promises that has been made earlier with the government Djibouti. Okay, so this is all about the passage, and let's quickly get on with the questions part. So the first one is ability of Excel to survive if the 50 million loan was granted. Is that a major factor, or is that a major objective? Definitely, it's again an assumption. The ability of an Excel to survive its 50 million loan that was granted, if it is granted. So definitely here you have a term which is if. So it is absolutely an assumption. Okay, absolutely an assumption. So it will come under the major assumption here, right? Option D. And high unemployment in Djibouti. High unemployment in Djibouti is actually a major factor. That's a major factor. And the dependence of shopkeepers on the existence of Excel. Not all the shopkeepers are dependent on the existence of Excel. So definitely it's a minor factor. Maybe one or two. Not all the shopkeepers, right? Maybe one or two. And continued operation of Excel. The continued operation of Excel is a major objective. The continued operation of Excel is a major objective for both the governments, Djibouti countries, government of Djibouti country, and also for the Excel Corporation. And strained worker management relations at Excel. Strained worker management relations at Excel is actually a major factor, right? And the 16th one, export potential of Excel is again a major factor. Export potential of Excel is again a major factor which will directly influence the production. And need for a quick decision by the government as to whether to grant the loan requested by Excel. It is completely under assumption. You can assume whether the government can give a loan or better avoid it. It's absolutely a major assumption, option D. And availability of government funds needed to support Excel. It is again an assumption. You cannot say how much is the fund. You can literally assume it can give this much or that much. So major assumption here as well. And the prevention of layoffs of workers at Excel. That is actually the major, objective, right? It's a major objective. So it's going to be option A for the 19th, the prevention of layoffs of workers at Excel. So the government of Digiboatland, their major objective is not to terminate anybody, right? And political consequence of an Excel bankruptcy. Political consequence will definitely be a minor factor, right? All good. So that's it, guys. We have come to the conclusion of today's marathon, that is for business situation analysis. 12th one, it is not the major, it is not the objective, right? Which ICB, it is not the objective, it is a major factor. High unemployment, that is not the objective for the Digiboatland now. It's a major factor, right? Fine, all good. So, right from the start of the session, I think we have did 5 sets of business situation analysis, and I hope you guys would have got some idea about how to approach the given passage and how to decode whether the given question is a major objective or a major factor or a minor factor or a major assumption. Okay, so definitely this 3-hour long lengthy marathon for the business situation analysis would have provided you absolute idea to how to tackle the questions, and this will absolutely help you to get a wholesome idea about as well. So with that positive note, I just want to recall the questions that we have done further previously. So kindly go for it. So here we have the list of answers for the last set. Yes, all good. I hope you guys are clear with this. So if you really like this videos and stuff, and if you really like this session, and if any of your friends or neighbors, anybody interested in getting the Unacademy Plus subscription, definitely you can use my discount code of KMPI10, where you'll be getting an absolute 10% off. That is for 1 year, For 1 year, it's going to be 15,750, and for 2 years, it's going to be 18,900. So absolutely a beneficial package for you. And if you want to take up for CAT 2021, this is going to be the perfect time to start enrolling in our batches and get beneficial. Okay. So signing off with this positive note, and most importantly, do not like to share, like, subscribe, and press the bell icon of our YouTube channel, Unacademy CAT for MBA. And is there anybody still haven't joined our Telegram channel TANCET MBA? Kindly remember to join, where you will be getting all the lively updates about the classes happening daily, and also the materials we'll be providing to you. And just go to the download the Telegram app, just log in, go for the search icon, simply type TANCET MBA. Simply type TANCET MBA. A group will be displayed on your screen. You can kindly enter the channel, click join channel. Okay, if you join that channel, we'll be providing with all the lively updates regarding the materials and stuff. Okay, fine guys, all good. So with that positive note, we'll wind up the today's session, and it's been a great session marathon for absolute 2 hours. So definitely, I would be very happy if any of the person who's watching the video gets benefited through this session. And signing off with this positive note, have a good evening, everyone. See you all again. Bye-bye. Thank you.